Welcome back to Life Mastery Unleashed, where I am going to help you unlock your full potential by being raw, truthful, and transparent. I'm your host, Khamis. Today, we are going to talk about the standard you live by. Your standard defines your destiny. It decides whether you become strong or stay weak. It decides whether you lead or follow. It decides whether your life is an example or a warning. Most men never raise their standard. They coast, they settle, they live by good enough. And good enough is the reason they will never be remembered. Winners live by a higher standard. They demand excellence from themselves. They hold themselves to a code when no one else is looking. They do not compromise. They do not negotiate with weakness. Their standard is non-negotiable. Look at history. Michael Jordan, his standard wasn't just to win games. His standard was to dominate every practice, every drill, every possession. Teammates hated him at times, but he raised the standard so high that they either elevated or they broke. And 6 championships later, no one questions the result. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful men to ever live. But what did he remind himself every day in his meditations? To live by a higher standard than comfort or greed. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's a standard. In the 82nd Airborne, where I served, the standard wasn't show up. The standard was discipline, readiness, and execution. Because one man slipping meant another man didn't come home. That truth burns something into your DNA. That's why I tell you, your standard will either save your life or cost it. The standard you live by determines your habits. Your habits determine your actions. Your actions determine your future. It all starts with your standard. Ask yourself, what is my standard when no one is watching at 4:30 in the morning when the alarm goes off? Do I rise or do I snooze? At the gym when I hit that last rep, do I rack the weight or do I fight for 2 more? At work when no one is checking, do I cut corners or do I execute as if the world is watching? That is the test, because you will not rise to the occasion. You will fall to the level of your training, and your training is defined by the standard you accept. Average men fold, average men scroll, average men talk. Winners train, winners grind, winners execute. Look at the battlefield of business. Most people accept average effort. That's why they never break through. But the top producers, the top leaders, they live by standards that most people would call insane. Early mornings, late nights, discipline with every detail. That's why they dominate. Here's the truth young men need to hear. Your standard is not set by society. Your standard is not set by your friends. Your standard is not set by your feelings. Your standard is set by you. And if you don't raise it, life will lower it for you. Weak standards create weak men. Weak men create weak families. Weak families create weak nations. Strength starts with the individual, with you, with the standard you choose every day. Think about Navy SEAL training, Hell Week, 6 days of no sleep, cold water, brutal conditions. Why do most quit? Because their standard is comfort. Why do the few make it? Because their standard is never quitting. That's it. The body breaks, the mind screams, but the standard holds. That is why they earn the trident. You don't need to be in combat to apply this. In school, in business, in marriage, in fatherhood, in health, the standard you live by shows up everywhere. If your standard is mediocrity, don't be surprised when your life feels mediocre. If your standard is greatness, don't be surprised when greatness shows up. Raising your standard means this: you stop tolerating laziness, you stop tolerating excuses, you stop tolerating weakness, you set the bar higher, and you never lower it again. When you raise your standard, everything changes. Your circle changes, because weak men hate high standards. They feel threatened by it. They will call you obsessed, they will call you extreme, they will try to drag you back down. That is when you cut them off, because your future is too valuable to waste on people with low standards. When you raise your standard, your body changes, because you stop eating garbage, you train with intensity, you push past limits, you become sharper, faster, stronger. Your body becomes the proof of your discipline. When you raise your standard, your business changes, because you stop coasting, you stop waiting, you stop blaming, you attack, you execute, you outwork and outlast. And results come because results are the fruit of raised standards. When you raise your standard, your family changes, because your children see discipline, they see resilience, they see courage, they see a man who refuses to compromise. And that example shapes their destiny. Your standard becomes their inheritance. Understand this, your standard is contagious. It spreads to everyone around you. If your standard is weakness, your circle will become weak. If your standard is strength, your circle will rise, your family will rise, your team will rise. That is why you cannot afford to live by good enough, because you are not just setting your future. You are setting the standard for everyone who follows you. So what does it mean to raise your standard? It means you demand discipline in the small things. Make your bed, train hard, eat clean, show up early, execute with precision. These small standards build massive results. It means you demand excellence in your work. Don't cut corners, don't half-ass. Deliver at the highest level every time, because if you tolerate sloppiness in one area, it will bleed into every area. It means you demand courage in your decisions, hard choices, tough conversations, risk when others run. That is the mark of a man with a high standard, and it means you demand resilience when you get knocked down, because you will get knocked down, you will fail, you will fall short. But if your standard is to rise, you will always rise. Let me remind you, raising your standard is not easy. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you friends. It will cost you short-term pleasure, but it will give you freedom. It will give you strength. It will give you respect, and it will give you legacy. Legacy is not built in one moment. It is built in the daily grind, in the repetitions, in the moments where no one is watching, in the times where you choose discipline over excuses. That is where your standard becomes your identity. Do not let the world convince you to lower it. Do not let weak men shame you for raising it. Do not let your own feelings talk you out of it. Feelings are temporary. Standards are eternal. So I ask you again, what is your standard? Is it comfort or discipline? Is it laziness or execution? Is it weakness or strength? Because your answer decides your future. The standard you live by is the destiny you walk into. Set it high, hold it tight, defend it with everything you have, because that standard will be the difference between regret and greatness. The choice is yours, but the standard is everything. And you know what to do. Outgrind, outwork. Out-hustle everyone. Outgrind, outwork.